The abduction. The crystalline spires of Elysium, capital city of the Zarthan Empire, glittered like frozen flames under the light of 3 moons. Princess Lyra stood on her balcony, her iridescent skin shimmering as she gazed at the bustling metropolis below. The cool night air carried the sweet scent of blooming night flowers, a stark contrast to the tension that hung over the city. Lyra's 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern on her face, blinked in unison as she sighed. Tomorrow was her coronation day, when she would officially become heir to the Zarthan throne. It should have been a joyous occasion, but recent events had cast a shadow over the celebrations. "Your Highness," a soft voice called from behind her. Lyra turned to see Kell, her most trusted advisor, standing in the doorway. The older Zarthan's skin had dulled with age, but his eyes still sparkled with intelligence. "What news, Kell?" Lyra asked, already anticipating the answer. Kell's lower set of arms fidgeted nervously. "The Drekna fleet has been spotted at the edge of our system. They're maintaining position, but their presence is concerning." Lyra nodded grimly. The Drekna, a warrior race from a neighboring star system, had long coveted the Zarthan's advanced technology and resource-rich worlds. Diplomatic relations had been strained for years, but this blatant show of force was unprecedented. "Have they made any demands?" Lyra asked. "None yet, Your Highness, but their timing on the eve of your coronation cannot be coincidence." Lyra's mind raced. The Drekna were known for their cunning as much as their brutality. What game were they playing? "Double the palace guards," she ordered, "and inform my father. We may need to postpone the coronation." Kell bowed and hurried away, leaving Lyra alone with her thoughts. She turned back to the city, its beauty now marred by the threat looming beyond the stars. As night deepened, Lyra found sleep elusive. She paced her chambers, going over defensive strategies and diplomatic scenarios in her mind. A soft chime from her communication device startled her. It was an encrypted message from one of her informants in the outer colonies. The message was brief but chilling. "Drekna ships sighted near Outpost Zeta. Possible infiltration. Be on guard." Lyra's heart raced. Outpost Zeta was one of their most remote facilities, home to some of the Zarthan's most advanced research. If the Drekna had breached their defenses there... A sudden explosion rocked the palace, throwing Lyra off balance. Alarms blared as the lights flickered and died. In the darkness, Lyra heard the sound of breaking glass and heavy footsteps. "Princess," a gruff voice shouted, "we must go. The palace is under attack." Lyra recognized the voice of Captain Vaughn, head of her personal guard. She fumbled in the dark, reaching for the emergency beacon hidden in her jewelry box. Her fingers had just closed around it when a massive form burst through her chamber doors. The room filled with a sickly green light, emanating from the bioluminescent patches on the intruder's armor. Lyra's blood ran cold as she recognized the distinctive silhouette of a Drekna warrior. "The princess," the warrior growled in heavily accented Zarthan. "Secure her." More Drekna poured into the room. Lyra's combat training kicked in, and she lashed out with a series of quick strikes. Her fists connected with armored hide, barely phasing her attackers. A Drekna hand, easily twice the size of her own, clamped down on her arm. "No," Lyra shouted, struggling against the iron grip. "Vaughn, help." But there was no sign of her guards. Had they been overwhelmed? Or worse, had there been betrayal from within? As the Drekna dragged her from her chambers, Lyra managed to activate the emergency beacon. It emitted a silent pulse, broadcasting her location across subspace. It was a desperate move. The signal would take days to reach the nearest allied world. The palace corridors were a scene of chaos. Smoke filled the air, and the sounds of battle echoed from every direction. Lyra caught glimpses of her people fighting valiantly against the Drekna invaders, but they were clearly outmatched. "Why are you doing this?" Lyra demanded as her captors hustled her towards the landing pad. "This is an act of war." The Drekna leader, a towering figure with a scarred face, turned to her with a cruel smile. War? No, princess. This is destiny. Your people's destiny to serve ours. They reached a sleek, dark ship that was clearly not of Zarthan design. As they forced her up the boarding ramp, Laura took one last look at her home. Fires burned in the lower levels of the palace, and she could hear the distant wail of emergency sirens from the city. My people will never bow to you, Lyra spat defiantly. The Dreknar leader laughed. They will when we show them their beloved princess kneeling before our emperor. The ship's doors slid shut, cutting off Lyra's view of Elysium. She felt the vibration of engines powering up, and a moment later, they were airborne. As the ship accelerated towards the upper atmosphere, Laura closed her eyes, fighting back tears of rage and frustration. She thought of the emergency beacon, still pulsing quietly in her chambers. It would be days before anyone received the signal, and even then, who would be able to mount a rescue? The Zarthan fleet was formidable, but they had never faced a threat like this before. As the ship broke free of Elysium's gravity well, Lyra made a silent vow. She would find a way to escape, to warn her people, to stop whatever nefarious plan the Dreknar had set in motion. But for now, all she could do was wait and hope that somewhere, someone had received her call for help. Little did she know that her distress signal was about to reach a world she had never heard of, a planet called Earth, where a group of humans were about to embark on the greatest adventure of their lives. The Dreknar ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind a world in turmoil and setting in motion a chain of events that would change the fate of two civilizations forever. The human response. Commander Jack Harper stood at attention in the briefing room of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, his eyes fixed on the holographic display at the center of the room. The pulsing red dot on the star map represented something unprecedented, a verified alien distress signal. At 300 hours Universal Time, our Deep Space Monitoring Station picked up this signal, Admiral Chen explained, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. It's been authenticated as non-terrestrial in origin. Jack's mind raced. Humanity had long speculated about the existence of alien life, but this was the first concrete proof. And it wasn't just proof of existence, it was a call for help. What do we know about the source? Jack asked, his military training kicking in. A scientist stepped forward, Dr. Amelia Rossi, her wild curls barely contained in a messy bun. The signal originates from a star system approximately 50 light-years from Earth. We've designated it Elysium 1. Based on the data embedded in the signal, we believe it's home to an advanced civilization called the Zarthan. Admiral Chen nodded, and they're in trouble. The signal indicates a hostile takeover by another alien race. We've decided to mount a rescue mission. Jack's eyebrows shot up. A rescue mission? With all due respect, Admiral, we've never even left our solar system. How are we supposed to reach a planet 50 light-years away? Dr. Rossi's eyes lit up with excitement. That's where it gets interesting, Commander. The distress signal contained more than just a cry for help. It included schematics for a faster-than-light drive. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. FTL travel had been theoretical until now, the stuff of science fiction. Admiral Chen continued, "We've had our best engineers working around the clock. They've managed to construct a prototype based on these schematics. It's ready for testing, and we don't have time for a lengthy trial period. Commander Harper, we're sending you and a small team on this mission." Jack's heart raced. This was why he joined the UEDF, for the chance to push the boundaries of human exploration. But the stakes had never been this high. "Who's on my team?" he asked. "You'll have Dr. Rossi as your science officer," Admiral Chen replied. "Lieutenant Sarah Chen, my daughter, as your pilot. She's the best we have. And Sergeant Mike O'Brien for security. The four of you will crew our prototype ship, the UES Odyssey." Over the next 48 hours, Jack and his team underwent intensive briefings. They learned what little they could about the Zarthan and their apparent kidnappers, a race called the Dreknar. The Odyssey was loaded with supplies, weapons, and every piece of advanced technology Earth could provide. As Jack stood before the sleek, experimental ship, he felt a mix of awe and trepidation. The Odyssey looked like nothing he'd ever seen before, a fusion of human engineering and alien technology. "Beautiful, isn't she?" Sarah Chen said, coming to stand beside him. The young pilot's eyes gleamed with anticipation. Jack nodded. "Let's just hope she flies as good as she looks." "Oh, she'll fly," Sarah grinned. "The real question is whether we can handle what's waiting for us out there." As they boarded the ship, Jack caught sight of Dr. Rossi fussing over a crate of equipment. "Everything okay, Doc?" Amelia looked up, her face a mix of stress and excitement. "Just double-checking our xenobiology kit. We have no idea what kind of environment we're flying into. The atmospheric composition of Elysium, the physiology of the Zarfan, it's all theoretical at this point." "Well, that's why we have you," Jack reassured her. "If anyone can figure it out, it's you." Sergeant O'Brien was the last to board, his muscular frame laden with weapons. "Ready to kick some alien ass, Commander," he said with a grin. Jack shook his head, smiling despite himself. "Let's focus on the rescue mission first, Sergeant. We're not looking to start an interstellar war." As the team strapped in for launch, Jack felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. They were about to attempt humanity's first faster-than-light journey, flying into unknown danger to rescue an alien princess. The fate of not just their mission, but potentially Earth's first contact with alien life, rested in their hands. "All systems check," Sarah called from the pilot's seat. "FTL drive is online and stable. We're ready for launch, Commander." Jack took a deep breath. "All right, team. This is it. Lieutenant Chen, take us out." The Odyssey's engines hummed to life, a sound unlike anything they'd heard before. As they lifted off from the launch pad, Jack watched the Earth grow smaller through the viewscreen. "Preparing for FTL jump," Sarah announced, her hands dancing over the controls. "Course set for the Elysium system." Jack gripped his seat. "Engage." The stars outside stretched into lines, then blurred completely as the Odyssey leaped into faster-than-light travel. The human era of interstellar exploration had begun. As they hurtled through space at impossible speeds, Jack's mind turned to the alien princess who had inadvertently brought them here. Who was she? What kind of danger was she in? And how would she react to a team of humans coming to her rescue? Little did Jack know that their arrival in the Elysium system would set off a chain of events that would change the course of galactic history. The Odyssey streaked across the stars, carrying humanity's best and brightest towards a destiny none of them could have imagined: infiltration and discovery. The Odyssey dropped out of FTL on the outskirts of the Elysium system, the sudden deceleration causing the crew to lurch in their seats. Through the viewscreen, they saw a star much like their own sun, orbited by a collection of planets in various hues. "Scanners are operational," Dr. Rossi announced, her fingers flying over her console. "I'm detecting multiple inhabited worlds, but one stands out. Third planet from the star, similar size to Earth. Atmosphere is breathable, but with higher oxygen content." Jack leaned forward, studying the holographic display. Any sign of the princess or her captors? Sarah shook her head. "Nothing obvious, Commander, but I am picking up a lot of comm chatter. It seems like the whole system is in an uproar." "Can you translate any of it?" Jack asked. Dr. Rossi's eyes lit up. "The signal we received included a basic language primer. Give me a moment." She worked furiously at her station, and soon, snippets of alien conversation filled the bridge, translated into English by the ship's computer. "Princess still missing. Drekna deny involvement. Rumors of off-world facility." Jack's mind raced. "Sounds like we're not too late. But where would they take her?" Sergeant O'Brien, who had been quietly monitoring the weapon systems, spoke up. "If I was staging a high-profile kidnapping, I'd want somewhere isolated, defensible. Are there any moons or asteroids that fit the bill?" Dr. Rossi quickly scanned the system. There's a small moon orbiting the fifth planet. It's giving off some strange energy readings. Good thinking, O'Brien, Jack nodded. Lieutenant Chen, set a course for that moon. Full stealth mode. As they approached the moon, its barren, cratered surface came into view. But amidst the desolate landscape, they spotted an anomaly. A sleek, artificial structure nestled in a deep crater. That's got to be it, Jack said. Okay team, here's the plan. We'll land the Odyssey on the far side of the moon to avoid detection. O'Brien and I will use the stealth suits to infiltrate the facility. Dr. Rossi, you and Lieutenant Chen stay with the ship. Monitor communications and be ready for a quick extraction. The landing was tense but uneventful. As Jack and O'Brien donned their advanced stealth suits, designed to bend light around them, Dr. Rossi approached with a small device. This is a universal translator, she explained. It should allow you to understand and be understood by any aliens you encounter. And this, she held up a small scanner, will help you identify the princess. It's calibrated to detect Zarthan biosignatures. Jack nodded gratefully. Good work, Doc. All right, O'Brien, let's move out. The two men activated their suits and made their way across the lunar surface, their movements eerily silent in the airless environment. As they approached the facility, they saw it was even larger than it had appeared from orbit, a sprawling complex of interconnected domes and towers. They found an airlock and, using technology derived from the alien schematics, managed to hack their way inside. The interior was a maze of corridors, filled with strange, angular architecture that seemed to defy human engineering principles. As they moved deeper into the facility, they began to encounter aliens. The Dreknar were massive, reptilian creatures, easily 7 feet tall with thick, armored hides. Jack and O'Brien froze, holding their breath as a pair of guards walked right past them, oblivious to their presence. I'm picking up Zarthan life signs, O'Brien whispered, checking the scanner. 2 levels down East Wing. They made their way to a lift, slipping in behind a distracted Dreknar scientist. As they descended, Jack's mind raced. What would they find? How could they possibly extract the princess without starting an interstellar incident? The lift doors opened, and they found themselves in what appeared to be a high-security area. Force fields hummed at regular intervals, and armed guards stood at attention outside reinforced doors. O'Brien's scanner led them to one particular cell. Through a small window, they could see a figure huddled in the corner, distinctly alien, with iridescent skin and 4 eyes. That's got to be her, Jack whispered. But how do we get her out? Before O'Brien could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. A voice boomed over the intercom in the Dreknar language, which their translators rendered as intruder alert. Unknown ship detected in orbit. All personnel to battle stations. Jack's heart sank. Damn it. Sarah and Amelia must have been spotted. O'Brien grinned, hefting his weapon. Well, Commander, looks like we're doing this the loud way after all. Jack nodded grimly. So much for stealth. All right, let's get the princess and get out of here. They deactivated their stealth suits, knowing they'd need full mobility for what was to come. O'Brien made short work of the cell's locking mechanism, and the door slid open with a hiss. The alien princess looked up, her 4 eyes widening in shock at the sight of the 2 humans. She spoke, her voice melodic despite her obvious fear, and the translator rendered her words. Who? What are you? Jack stepped forward, hands raised in a gesture of peace. Princess Lyra, we're here to rescue you. We received your distress call. Lyra stood, her movements graceful despite her obvious weakness. You're from another world. You came all this way to help us. That's right, Jack nodded. I'm Commander Jack Harper of Earth. This is Sergeant O'Brien. We need to get you out of here now. Can you walk? Lyra nodded, determination replacing fear in her alien features. I can do more than walk. If you can get me to a command terminal, I can send a message to my people. They need to know what I've discovered. Discovered? Jack asked as they hurried out of the cell. Lyra's expression darkened. The Dreknar invasion, the kidnapping, it's all a cover. There's something much bigger going on, something that threatens both our peoples. As they raced through the corridors, alarms blaring and the sounds of approaching guards echoing from all directions, Jack realized that their mission had just become far more complicated than a simple rescue. Whatever secrets Lyra had uncovered, it was clear that the fate of multiple worlds now hung in the balance. With Dreknar forces closing in and time running out, Jack, O'Brien, and Princess Lyra prepared to fight their way off the moon and unravel a conspiracy that spanned the stars. Rescue and retreat. The facility was in chaos. Alarms blared, and the thundering footsteps of Dreknar guards echoed through the corridors. Jack, O'Brien, and Princess Lyra raced through the complex, ducking into alcoves and side passages to avoid detection. "We need to find a command terminal," Lyra insisted, her voice urgent. "The information I've gathered could change everything." Jack nodded, his mind racing. "O'Brien, can you access their systems? Find us a route to a control room." The sergeant pulled out a small device, tapping rapidly. "On it, Commander. Looks like there's a primary control hub 2 levels up." As they made their way towards their goal, they encountered their first real resistance. A squad of Dreknar guards rounded a corner, their eyes widening at the sight of the escaping princess and her unlikely rescuers. "Down," Jack shouted, pulling Lyra to the ground as O'Brien opened fire. The surgeon's weapon, a hybrid of Earth and alien technology, fired pulses of energy that overwhelmed the Dreknar's personal shields. Lyra watched in amazement as the 2 humans efficiently neutralized the threat. "Your weapons, your technology, how is this possible?" Jack helped her up. "Let's just say your distress signal came with some interesting attachments. Come on, we need to keep moving." They fought their way to the control hub, O'Brien's marksmanship and Jack's tactical acumen proving more than a match for the surprised Dreknar. As they entered the room, Lyra immediately went to work on the alien console. "Cover me," she said, her 4 eyes focused intently on the holographic displays. "I need to transmit this data and leave a message for my people." Jack and O'Brien took up defensive positions at the entrance. "Make it quick, Princess. I don't think we have much time." As if on cue, Jack's communicator crackled to life. Sarah's voice came through, tense and urgent. "Commander, we've got a problem. A Dreknar battlecruiser just entered orbit. They're powering up weapons." Jack cursed under his breath. "How long until they're in firing range?" 10 minutes, maybe less," Sarah replied. "We need to get out of here now." "Lyra," Jack called over his shoulder. "We're out of time. Whatever you're doing, wrap it up." The princess's hands flew over the controls. "Almost done. There, message sent, and I've downloaded critical data." She held up a small crystalline device. "This contains evidence of a Dreknar superweapon, one that could threaten both our peoples." A massive explosion rocked the facility, nearly knocking them off their feet. "That's our cue to leave," O'Brien grunted, taking down 2 more Dreknar guards who appeared in the doorway. They fought their way back through the complex, the opposition growing fiercer with each passing moment. Lyra proved to be more than just a damsel in distress, using her knowledge of Dreknar physiology to point out weak spots in their armor. As they neared the airlock where they had entered, Jack's communicator crackled again. "Commander," Dr. Rossi's voice came through, breathless with excitement. "I've been analyzing the facility's power signatures. There's something big in the hangar bay, some kind of experimental ship. If we could commandeer it." Jack weighed their options quickly. Their original exit point was likely swarming with Dreknar troops by now. "All right, change of plans. We're heading for the hangar. Sarah, can you remote pilot the Odyssey to rendezvous with us there?" "Already on it," Sarah replied. "Be careful down there." The team altered course, battling through increasingly heavy resistance. As they entered the vast hangar bay, they saw what had caught Dr. Rossi's attention. A sleek, silver ship sat on the launch pad, its design unlike anything they had seen before. By the stars, Lyra breathed. That's a Nexus-class stealth cruiser. We thought they were only theoretical. Well, theory is about to become practice, Jack said. Everyone on board now. They sprinted for the ship, energy blasts from Dreknar weapons sizzling past them. O'Brien provided covering fire as Jack and Lyra reached the ship's entrance ramp. Inside, Lyra moved instinctively towards the control panel. I can fly this, she said confidently. But we'll need to. She was cut off as the ship lurched, its systems coming to life seemingly on their own. A familiar voice echoed through the cabin. No need, Princess. I've got this under control. It was Sarah, her voice filled with barely contained glee. Patched in remotely. Hang on tight, this might get bumpy. The ship lifted off, its advanced engines humming with power. Through the viewscreen, they saw the hangar bay doors beginning to close. Sarah, Jack warned. I see it, she replied calmly. The ship accelerated, shooting forward with incredible speed. They cleared the closing doors with mere inches to spare, emerging into the star-filled sky of the moon. But their troubles weren't over. The Dreknar battle cruiser loomed ahead, its weapons ports glowing ominously. Evasive maneuvers, Jack shouted, though he knew Sarah was already on it. The ship danced through space, avoiding searing beams of energy from the cruiser. Odyssey on your 6, Sarah called out. Their original ship appeared, falling into formation behind them. Lyra worked quickly at a secondary console. I'm activating the stealth systems, she announced. It should make us invisible to their sensors, but we need to put some distance between us first. Distance coming up, Sarah replied. The stars outside stretched into lines as the ship jumped to FTL, the Odyssey following close behind. As the immediate danger passed, Jack felt the adrenaline begin to ebb. He turned to Lyra, who was staring out at the streaking stars with a mix of wonder and sadness. Thank you, she said softly. You risked everything to save me, to help my people. Jack nodded. It's what we do. But I have a feeling this is just the beginning. You mentioned a superweapon. Lyra's expression grew grave. Yes, what I discovered, it's worse than we imagined. The Dreknar aren't just planning to conquer my people. They're building a weapon capable of destroying entire star systems, and I fear they may already have a target in mind. As the implications of Lyra's words sank in, Jack realized that their mission had grown far beyond a simple rescue. They were now embroiled in a conflict that could determine the fate of multiple civilizations. With the stolen Dreknar ship carrying them through the cosmos and the Odyssey close behind, Jack, his team, and Princess Lyra prepared to face challenges that would test not just their skills, but the very limits of interspecies cooperation. The true battle, it seemed, was only just beginning. Alliance and revelation. As the stolen Dreknar ship and the Odyssey cruised through hyperspace, the unlikely group of humans and their alien ally gathered in the main cabin to assess their situation. Jack looked around at his team. Sarah, her eyes still gleaming with excitement from piloting the advanced alien craft. Dr. Rossi, already engrossed in studying the ship's systems. O'Brien, vigilant as ever. And Princess Lyra, who seemed to be processing the whirlwind of events that had led to her rescue. All right, Jack began. We're safe for the moment, but we need a plan. Princess, you mentioned a superweapon. What exactly are we dealing with? Lyra's 4 eyes blinked in unison, a gesture Jack was beginning to recognize as a sign of deep concern. She inserted the crystalline device she had taken from the Dreknar facility into a port on the ship's console. A holographic display flickered to life, showing schematics of a massive, ring-shaped structure. This is the Nexus, Lyra explained, her voice grave. It's not just a weapon, it's a device capable of creating artificial wormholes. The Dreknar plan to use it to instantly transport their fleets across vast distances, conquering entire star systems before a defense can be mounted. Dr. Rossi leaned in, her scientific curiosity piqued. Fascinating. The energy requirements for such a device would be enormous. Lyra nodded. That's part of why they kidnapped me. The Zarthan have been experimenting with zero-point energy technology. The Dreknar needed our research to power the Nexus. Jack's mind raced with the implications. So this isn't just about conquering your people. They're planning something much bigger. Yes, Lyra confirmed. And I fear Earth may be one of their targets. Your world is still relatively unknown in the galaxy, but the Dreknar somehow learned of your existence. They see you as a potential threat, one to be eliminated before you can become a real power in the cosmos. The humans exchanged worried glances. Their first venture into interstellar space had thrust them into a conflict with stakes higher than they could have imagined. Sarah spoke up from the pilot's seat. So what's our next move? We can't take on the entire Dreknar Empire by ourselves. We need allies, Jack said decisively. Princess, can your people help us? Lyra's expression was a mix of determination and uncertainty. The Zarthan fleet is formidable, but we've never faced a threat like this before, and with me missing, I fear my world may be in chaos. We need to contact them, rally our forces. I might be able to help with that, Dr. Rossi interjected. She had been working on a console, analyzing the ship's communication systems. This vessel has quantum entanglement communicators. We should be able to send a message to the Zarthan homeworld instantly, regardless of distance. Jack nodded. Do it. Princess, tell your people everything you've learned. We'll need a united front to stand a chance against the Dreknar. As Lyra composed her message, Jack pulled his team aside. This situation has escalated far beyond our original mission parameters. I need to know if you're all in. This isn't just about Earth anymore. We're looking at a threat to the entire galaxy. O'Brien grinned, patting his weapon. You know me, Commander. Where there's a fight, I'm there. Sarah nodded firmly. Someone's got to fly this fancy alien tech. Count me in. Dr. Rossi's eyes sparkled with a mix of scientific curiosity and determination. The chance to study advanced alien civilizations and potentially save the galaxy. Wild horses couldn't drag me away, Commander. Jack felt a surge of pride in his team. All right then. Looks like Earth's first interstellar mission just turned into a bid to save the galaxy. Lyra rejoined them, her expression tense but hopeful. Message sent. My father, Emperor Zorn, has ordered our fleets to mobilize. They'll rendezvous with us at these coordinates. She input a series of numbers into the ship's navigation system. As they altered course, Dr. Rossi made another discovery. Commander, I've been analyzing the data Princess Lyra retrieved. There's something odd about the Nexus project. Some of the technology, it doesn't seem to match known Dreknar capabilities. Lyra leaned in, her eyes widening as she studied the display. You're right. This level of advancement, it's beyond even what my people thought the Dreknar capable of. A chill ran down Jack's spine. Are you saying there might be another player involved? Someone supplying the Dreknar with technology? Before anyone could respond, the ship's sensors blared a warning. Sarah's hands flew over the controls. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. It's the Zarthan fleet. The view screen filled with the sight of hundreds of sleek, crystalline ships, their designs both beautiful and clearly built for war. At their center was a massive vessel, easily dwarfing the others. The Imperial flagship. Lyra breathed, a mix of relief and apprehension in her voice. A communication request came through, and Lyra accepted it. The imposing figure of Emperor Zorn appeared on the screen, his 4 eyes focusing intently on his daughter. Lyra, he said, his voice deep and resonant. When we received your message, I could scarcely believe it. Are you safe? And who are these beings with you? Lyra quickly made introductions, explaining how the humans had rescued her and the grave threat they all faced. Emperor Zorn listened intently, his expression growing more serious with each passing moment. These humans have proven themselves true friends of the Zarthan people, Zorn declared. Commander Harper, you and your team have our deepest gratitude. Now, we must prepare for war." As the human team and their new alien allies began to strategize, Jack couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. They had stumbled into a conflict that would shape the future of multiple civilizations, perhaps the entire galaxy. With the combined might of the Zarthan fleet at their backs and the advanced Dreadnought ship under their control, they had a fighting chance. But the mystery surrounding the Nexus project and the possibility of an unknown player pulling the strings added layers of complexity to an already daunting challenge. As they prepare for the battles to come, Jack realized that this unlikely alliance of humans and aliens might be the galaxy's last, best hope for peace. The final confrontation loomed on the horizon, and the fate of worlds hung in the balance.